Welcome to the Beyond Bloated Podcast. I'm Carly, a certified health coach helping women ditch their bloat without having to follow super strict and stressful protocols. As someone who's struggled with all sorts of digestive issues for over 5 years, I know exactly how you're feeling. I also know that there's a way to feel better, and it doesn't have to involve tons of expensive supplements and insanely restrictive diets. Join me as I share all of my bloat-busting wisdom to help you say goodbye to that bloated belly and regain your confidence. It's time for you to move beyond bloated.
Hey guys, I'm sick. I haven't been sick in an entire year. I got sick last October, but I have been stressed for like a 5-day period last week, which isn't usually me. I am not a very high stress individual. I'm usually very easygoing, but I had a lot going on. It all came on at once and I was very stressed and bam, I got sick. So luckily for me, this isn't a very bad cold. Usually when I do get sick, I get super sick. I don't get sick often, but like when it does grab me, it's horrible. So I'm very grateful that this cold is at least a mild one. You know, I have congestion. I sound congested, I'm sure, tired, whatever, but I've been able to get through my days and I'm not dying. So it's not the worst, but let this be a reminder to manage your stress. I did an episode not that long ago on how you can boost your immunity naturally, especially for back to school season, because that's when everybody gets sick, especially if you have kids. So if you haven't checked that out and you don't want to end up sick like me, go listen, because I haven't been sick in a year and it was just because I got stressed. Otherwise, I think I'd still be thriving. Those techniques do work. So go check it out. Don't get sick. It sucks. Anyway, today's topic isn't about me being sick. I actually have an exciting interview today with Paris Janes, a holistic lifestyle coach who is here to share her experience with endometriosis. As Paris and I will discuss, endometriosis, also short form for that, can be endo, can often be misdiagnosed as IBS because it can cause very similar symptoms such as bloating and stomach pain. Endo definitely isn't talked about enough, which is why it can take years for the average woman to receive a proper diagnosis. Today's convo with Paris will help shed light on what endo is, the symptoms it can cause, how to get a diagnosis, and what lifestyle and mindset shifts can help relieve the pain and discomfort caused by endo. So let's not waste any more time. Thank you, Paris, for joining us today. I can't wait to hear more about your story.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited.
I'm excited as well. So I like to just jump right in. So if you could please start by letting us know a little bit about your personal journey with endometriosis and also give us a little explanation on what endometriosis is.
Yeah, of course. I'll start by explaining endometriosis and then maybe it will make sense my journey. So basically it's when you have cells that are similar to the lining of your uterus, but these cells are on the outside of your uterus or outside of, not sometimes connected to the walls, but also elsewhere. So during each cycle, when you have your period, the endometrial cells inside the uterus are reacting or changing to the hormone levels, resulting in releasing blood, obviously our period. But when we have endometriosis, those tissues or cells that are growing on the outside of the uterus have nowhere to go. So that's when they start reacting and causing lots of discomfort and pain. So my journey probably started, I found out about 9 years ago that I had it. So I had been on the birth control pill from about 16 years old, 15, 16. And I was on it consistently. I didn't have any breaks. And I decided to come off of it about 9 years ago. Everything was fine. Like everything was good. Then about 9 months after coming off the pill, I remember I was walking in Cambridge with my friend and I literally just dropped to the floor. And I was having this most horrific, excruciating stabbing pains. And I felt like I was going to vomit. I thought I was going to faint. And I was like in the middle of this town. And anyway, I like stepped to the side, didn't know what it was, went to the pharmacist, got some painkillers, so on. And that pain just continued probably for, I think this one was like maybe 5 days. It was quite a long time. And I was at home, had a hot water bottle on, and I looked about 8 or 9 months pregnant. My stomach was huge. I couldn't put any clothes on. Nothing, like my t-shirt, I had to put a really baggy t-shirt on because nothing would go over my belly. And it was just so horrific. I never ever felt pain like it. Went to the doctors. They didn't know what was wrong with me. They kept wanting to test me for an ectopic pregnancy. They also thought, because I was getting a lot of the pain on my right side, they thought I was having something wrong with my appendix. So that was, then I had to have tests for that. Wasn't that. Pain went, and it came back the following month, really bad. Went back to the doctors, again, testing me for an ectopic pregnancy. Couldn't think of what it was. I personally felt they thought I was overreacting. That was my gut feeling of it. Anyway, that happened. Pain went. I think the following month, I was in the same pain again, but it was, luckily my mum was at my house, and she has polycystic ovaries and endometriosis. So she took me to the doctors, and she said to the doctor, "Do you not think this could be endometriosis? I have this as well. It can be inherited." And the doctor went, "Oh, yeah, it could be that, actually." Like they hadn't even thought that was a possibility. And then I got sent for scans. I think I had a couple of different scans, and they found 3 centimeters of it on my right ovary, which is why the pain was on my right side. So then they suggested that I went back on the pill, which I did for about 9 months. I was back on the pill. And within this time, I decided to go vegan. Nothing to do with endometriosis. It was just personal. I just personally wanted to try going vegan. So I went vegan, came back off the pill, and then I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the pain to come. And I haven't had much pain since then. So yeah, that will also lead me to, when we talk about, like, if we talk about lifestyle and things, that will lead me to how I really feel diet is connected to this as well. But yeah, basically, sorry, I know that was quite long, but that's basically my story. So I still got it now. I'm actually going back to the doctors because I am concerned it might be spreading. But yeah, I'm not really having many symptoms or anything, but I still want to go back to the doctors and get that checked because I haven't been scanned for about 8 years now.
Incredible. I mean, that's a very sad story that you were in so much pain, and it took basically your mom telling the doctors what is possibly wrong with you. I know we talked before about how my mom also had endometriosis. She's gone through menopause now, so it's not really an issue anymore, but she probably had it for the majority of her life. And it wasn't until, I believe, her 40s that they finally figured it out. And so how long did it take them to figure yours out, like to get the diagnosis?
Luckily, it was, well, I probably had the pain for about 3 months. So I'm really fortunate in that way that my mum went to the doctors and said that, and the doctor actually said, yes, it could be that. If my mum wasn't with me, like, I don't live with my mum or live near my mum, so if she wasn't with me that particular weekend, I don't know how long it would have took to get a diagnosis. But basically, I think I went on the waiting list, and I maybe took another month or 2 after that to get the diagnosis. So altogether about 5 or 6 months, which is really lucky in anyone's situation with endometriosis. Yeah,
I was going to say that's quick. I read a stat that said it takes the average woman about 10 years to get a diagnosis of endometriosis. So that is very unfortunate. What are the signs of endometriosis? I know you mentioned having pain. Was there anything else that made you believe this could be endometriosis?
At the time, I wasn't really educated on what endometriosis was. And because I think because I was on the contraceptive pill, I never really had bad periods or anything, that it didn't even cross my mind until my mum said it. And I don't feel like it is spoken about enough. And so many women suffer with it. I have so many friends who have found out recently that they have it, and they're like in their late 20s, early 30s. And, it can make you infertile. It's incredibly not only painful, but damaging to your, like, how you feel as well. Generally, it's soul destroying. Like, every month this pain happens. So yeah, I had fainting, dizziness, no appetite, couldn't eat. Painkillers didn't do anything. Only a hot water bottle in the fetal position would probably help. And yeah, just feeling sick and huge bloating.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I know endometriosis and bloating kind of go hand in hand, and a lot of women tend to experience more bloating around their period, regardless if they have endometriosis. But I personally don't have endometriosis, so I can't speak to this. But I imagine the bloating you experience with endometriosis is significantly worse.
Yeah, it's really sensitive, and it just feels like so for me, I couldn't even have like a pair of shorts or a pair of joggers touching my tummy, because that was painful. Like, it was so sensitive around that area. Yeah, that's probably the difference between like a period pain, someone who hasn't got endometriosis, to someone who has. And it's stabbing as well. There's like sharp, it's like wire twisting inside you is kind of the only, and painkillers don't touch the sides.
Wow, that's awful. So does it impact other parts of your digestion as well, or did you just notice the bloating? I know for my mom, for example, she believes she has a lot of food intolerances because of the endometriosis. Did you have anything similar?
I probably did, but it was such a long time ago. I wasn't really very well known about food and intolerances and things that can inflame you, because I don't really get any issues anymore, but my diet is completely different to when I did have my symptoms. I'll say, yeah, it does have a big impact, and it's definitely something to think about if you have endometriosis, is looking into your food. I did read that quite often endometriosis is wrongly diagnosed as IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome, which can also link.
Absolutely. I have talked about that in the past, how IBS isn't a final diagnosis because there are so many things that it could actually be, and endometriosis is one of them. So that is a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So basically, pain, like extreme pain, period pain, irregular periods, is that a part of endometriosis as well?
I think it can be, and I think some people as well might get some pain around when they're ovulating. So that's 2 weeks after their period, or 2 weeks before we ovulate, kind of in the middle of our cycle. So I think some people can get some pain during that time as well. I didn't personally have irregular periods, but I think that is potential, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So basically, painful, irregular periods, a lot of bloating, possibly food sensitivities, kind of IBS-like symptoms could be mixed up with endometriosis.
I just popped into my head, and pain during intercourse as well. That's a big one.
Okay, yeah. If someone is experiencing all of these symptoms and they believe they may have endometriosis, how would you recommend they go about getting diagnosed? Because I know it can be really difficult to get that diagnosis.
Hey everyone, Carly here. If you are tired of feeling bloated and uncomfortable, which I know you are, I have something that can really help. My free ultimate guide to bloat busting. I've been there myself, and I know how frustrating it is to try super restrictive diets and expensive supplements without getting results. If those methods were going to work, they would have worked by now. That's why I created this guide to offer you a different approach. In the ultimate guide to bloat busting, you'll learn techniques to listen to your body and eat with intention, avoiding overeating, and choosing foods that truly benefit you, tips for proper hydration to support digestion and reduce bloating, a guide to delicious foods that promote a healthy gut and how to easily incorporate them into your meals, and effective methods to manage stress, which plays a huge role in gut health. These simple, practical strategies can make a big difference in your daily life, helping you feel lighter, more energized, and comfortable in your own skin. Ready to ditch the bloat without strict diets or costly supplements? Download your free copy today at beyondbloated.com/ultimate-guide and start your journey to a bloat-free life. Now, let's get back to it.
So, yeah, it can definitely be difficult. I would say don't stop until you have an answer. If need be, exaggerate to get that, to get seen more. Unfortunately, so many women do suffer with endometriosis, and healthcare systems are super packed and busy that even you need to sometimes do that, exaggerate a little bit, or keep going every month when them symptoms come up. Just keep going, don't stop until you do get a diagnosis.
It's really sad that we have to go to such lengths, but it's very true. Like, our medical system is overwhelmed. I know you're in the UK and I'm in Canada, but it sounds like they're the same. Like, they're both very packed. It's impossible to see a doctor. When you do see a doctor, they don't listen to you. They don't take you seriously. So it's sad to know that that is a worldwide thing. So what is the test? Like, how do they diagnose endometriosis?
So there's different types of scans. They can go do ultrasound scan that you can have when a woman is pregnant, or they also go inside with a camera as well.
Okay, and then that's when they see the tissue on your ovaries, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it can spread. So endometriosis doesn't have to just be on your ovaries. It could be on your bowel. It can be on your lower intestines. It can spread. And the way to describe it is a bit like black tar. It's kind of like sticky black tar. And the way to get it removed is they quite often burn it off. However, that's not the best way, because when you burn it off, you don't actually completely get rid of it. So the endometriosis is more likely going to come back, which is often why they don't do surgery on it. Or you can get it properly removed. Obviously, that depends on where the endo is on your body. If you get it properly removed by the surgeon, then it's more likely that endo won't return.
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't realize there were different methods. Interesting. So let's say someone suspects they have endometriosis, whether they have the proper diagnosis or they haven't quite got there yet. You mentioned lifestyle changes can really make a big impact on the symptoms. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Obviously, this is my own personal experience, and everyone's body is completely different. So whatever worked for me won't necessarily work for someone else. But like I said, my journey was, I came back off the pill and I had been vegan for probably about 5 or 6 months at this point. So that means I wasn't eating any dairy, I wasn't eating any meat or animal products. And so I have been vegan for nearly 6 years now. However, I do still eat eggs just because of dietary needs. But for me, it was, I believe, because after that, I did a lot of research, because every month I was like waiting for the pain to come back. I was like, oh no. And it never came, like not to the point that I was having it before. So I did a lot of research around this. And obviously now I do holistic lifestyle coaching. I have really looked into nutrition, and dairy and some red meats can be an inflammatory, especially to endometriosis. So the fact that I no longer eat dairy and red meat is one of the main reasons I believe that I don't get that pain, because my gut is not being inflamed constantly. I also I just think as well, like a general healthy lifestyle, getting out, exercising, making sure, like, as you know, hydration is so important for, especially if you're feeling bloated and everything. It's crazy how if you feel bloated, drink more and it will go away sometimes. Which just seems so strange, doesn't it, to say that? But yeah, so just an all general healthy lifestyle, like making sure you're moving your body, because when you exercise, you're also helping your digestion, which is helping your gut. You know, having prebiotic, probiotics, which you can also get in fruits and vegetables, if high fiber diet, and minimal processed food, and cutting out refined sugars is, you know, that is something I think really helps, because again, sugars can be an inflammatory, so can things in processed food. So personally, it would be like a whole foods, mainly focus on a whole foods diet, and making sure you're getting like enough hydration and exercise to keep your gut in a really healthy position, which will really help.
Yeah, and that sounds like things I talk about all the time anyway. So it's kind of crazy because there's all these different conditions that you can have, and endometriosis is one of them. But it all comes down to your nutrition, your movement, your sleep, your stress levels, like the basic things to just like live a healthy life often can improve all these different conditions, whatever you want to call them. Like I had an episode where I talked about autoimmune conditions as well, and it's similar. You know, your diet, like reducing inflammatory foods in the diet, can often put autoimmune conditions in remission, or at least significantly reduce the symptoms you're experiencing. So it's crazy. It's crazy how we work it up to be this big thing, and it's like, oh, I have this condition for life. This sucks. You go to a doctor, they give you medication, they tell you you have to live with it. But sometimes just simple things like reducing inflammatory foods, getting daily exercise, drinking more water can make a big difference. And you said you don't even like really experience the pain anymore, which is incredible, because you went from fainting on the street to having kind of like regular period pain, it sounds like. So that is a big accomplishment. So kudos to you.
I do feel like mine was like completely accidental though. The way I found out about how to best, you know, stop my symptoms was completely by accident. I didn't have any, like, at the time there were no podcasts, weren't really a thing. I wasn't really looking into it. And I feel like now there's so much information and education available to us. I was just really lucky to find out quite early on, but there are people who have been suffering for years and years who may not know, like dairy can be an inflammatory, or processed foods can irritate it and make it worse, you know. Yeah, I was just really fortunate, I think, at the time.
That's awesome that you fell into that little trick and it helped you so much, and now you're able to share that with others and help them. So that's awesome. And I know that living with a chronic condition like endometriosis can be emotionally challenging, because it's not something that you can necessarily be rid of forever. And you said like you had that fear every month of, oh my God, is it going to happen again? Is it going to happen again? So what mindset shifts have helped you stay positive and empowered throughout this journey?
I love this question because I am so into mindset. And this may just sound to someone like, how could that work? But for me, not only when I had my endometriosis pain, I also suffered a lot with anxiety, panic attacks. So I've been there through that really dark side. And now I'm completely out on the other end. And for me, it was gratitude journaling. That was a really big thing for me. Daily affirmations, just talking to yourself kindly when you know, especially when we're in pain or we're feeling really low, it's so easy to hate the world and hate ourselves and hate our bodies. So just turning that around and being like grateful for the things that we do have and looking at things in a slightly different perspective. That would be probably the biggest one, like self-love, the gratitude, daily journaling, daily affirmations, and all in all, a healthier lifestyle, like all the things we've just mentioned, because our gut and our brain is connected by our gut-brain axis. So, you know, if our gut's not working, we're going to have a negative mindset and vice versa. So basically just adapt basically a holistic lifestyle approach to your living. And I think, yeah, that is that has been the biggest game changer for me.
That's amazing. I love how passionate you are about mindset because it's often overlooked. I know I overlooked it for a very long time in my journey, and it's easy for us to get very down on ourselves, It's like, oh, why me? Why is this happening to me? Oh, great, here comes the pain again. And the mind is very powerful. And I'm not saying it's easy to make these shifts because it's not. It takes practice, it takes time. But if you can start getting into the habit of like journaling and, practicing gratitude, things that you just mentioned, it becomes easier and you will notice a difference in how you feel. Like living negative is hard. It's hard to think negative all the time.
It's
and
draining.
Your body reacts. Yeah, it is. And if you can just try to have a positive mindset, even in the worst situations, again, not saying it's easy. I suffer with this too, I'm sick right now, if you can't tell. And I feel like, great, this is the worst timing, but I'm trying to be positive. I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad. Like, I'm still able to do things and it's going to go away. I'm not deathly ill, So just little mindset tweaks can make a huge difference. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. Now, I would love for you to tell us about what you do for your coaching. I know you said you're a lifestyle coach, so please tell us what you do and where people can find you if they want to connect with you.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. So yeah, I am a holistic lifestyle coach. So I tend to help people regain their confidence by building better lifestyle, healthy, sustainable habits. And often help people who have, like we just were speaking about, a very negative mindset, negative self-talk, and completely shifting their perspective of the world, of themselves, into a more positive, happier version of who they are. So that's what I do. I'm so passionate about it. I absolutely love helping my clients and just seeing them thrive. And yeah, every individual client comes to me with their own, experiences, their own backgrounds. And I just love that I'm able to help them and support them through that and come out of the other end feeling incredible about themselves. I also, because as you can tell, I'm so passionate about journaling, I've recently just published my own journal, which is very exciting. So that's just being printed at the moment. So that will be on sale as well very shortly. So yeah, if anyone does want to find me, I would say my Instagram is probably the best place because it's got all the links in my bio to my website, to my 12-week program, to my subscription. So they can find me on plj.coaching on Instagram.
Awesome. That's so cool. I didn't know you had a journal coming out, actually.
I've just done it. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So if anyone who's listening is struggling with mindset and they're like, I don't know how to journal, I don't know how to change my mindset, Paris is your girl. She can help you with her mindset. She did it for herself and she has a cool new journal coming out that can really probably help you practice and get in the habit of journaling. And if you want to work with her while you're working on her journal, I'm sure she'd be happy to do that with you.
I would absolutely love that. My journal actually is 14 weeks of journaling, but the first 12-week follow my 12-week program. So every week has a different focus based on my 12-week program. So it all links, but you can do it without being a client as well. So
that's amazing. Yeah. Okay. That's so cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to put all of those links in the show notes so people can find you, your journal. If they want to work with you, they can reach out to you on Instagram. Thank you so much for sharing your journey today. It was very insightful and you had to go through that, but I'm very happy that you were able to come out the other side and you're thriving now. And now you can use that knowledge to help others. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond Bloated podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. And don't forget to share this podcast with your fellow gut goddesses. If you'd like to chat about today's episode, send me a DM on Instagram at beyond.bloated. Until next time, bye!